Welcome to the Disney Wedding Podcast. This show is brought to you by Carrie Hayward's Fairytale Weddings Guide, the only guidebook and bridal organizer tailored exclusively to Disney's fairytale weddings at Walt Disney World. I'm Carrie Hayward, and each week I feature Disney wedding updates, money-saving tips, and interviews with wedding vendors and real Disney couples. I also cover honeymoons, anniversaries, and engagements at the Disney parks and resorts. Join me now as the Disney Wedding Podcast celebrates romance at Disney destinations. Today on the Disney Wedding Podcast, I am speaking with GiGi and Robert Andre about their vow renewal in Animal Kingdom with a reception at the Lantana rooms at the Destino Tower at Coronado Springs Resort. I thought you guys would be interested to hear how they chose these locations and how they planned everything and how it all turned out. So welcome, Robert and GiGi.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks so much for being on the show today. I would love to start at the very beginning and find out how you guys decided that you wanted to have a vow renewal at Walt Disney World.
We wanted to have a vow renewal with an African theme. We wanted to be immersed in the culture of Africa, and we felt what better place than Animal Kingdom. So it was super easy to come up with the idea for Animal Kingdom to go with the theme of our vision.
That's awesome. So how did your friends and family react when they found out you guys were having a vow renewal and it was going to be at Disney?
Well, that's the kicker. So most of them didn't know. This was a surprise. We actually told our guests that we were just inviting them for dinner for an anniversary celebration. And while there at the dinner celebration, we had a few surprises to help announce the vow renewal at Animal Kingdom.
That's interesting. So were they traveling from all around the country thinking they were just going to a dinner?
Yes, which is definitely, I'm known for being pretty creative for events and dinners and birthday celebrations. So it was not something they were too surprised about, like, okay, it's GiGi. She's coming up with something different again. But everyone was super excited just to be coming to Florida. And we're from North Carolina, so most of our friends and family were traveling from out of state.
I see. Okay. So then how many guests did you invite and how many were able to make the trip?
We actually invited 50 and 50 actually showed up.
Wow, that's amazing. Did you set up a room block for your guests?
Yes, we did. We chose based on, budgets to make sure we covered everyone. So we had a value, moderate, and deluxe resort reserved through the room block. We went with All-Star Movies, the Coronado, of course, and then Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Nice. So then how did you choose the day of the week and time of day for your event?
Well, this is where it gets a bit interesting again. So we wanted to have it during a long weekend, especially for our guests who were traveling, so that they can pretty much turn this into a mini vacation. But I'm also a big numbers person, so I love the date that we selected because the numbers just had a ring to it. So we went with 5/25/25, and the event started at 5:25 p.m.
That's awesome. And so your reception, which was the dinner where the surprise was happening, that was at 5:25. And then what time was your ceremony?
Our ceremony actually began at 11 p.m. at the Animal Kingdom Park.
Got it. Okay. Now, how did you choose your ceremony and reception venues?
I did want to have both the reception and the ceremony at Animal Kingdom, but due to some restrictions with the time that we were allowed to have the ceremony, it made more sense for me to do them separately at two different locations.
Interesting. So how did you choose the Lantana rooms to go with your ceremony?
Our renewal was during a holiday weekend. Unfortunately, we kind of got lucky with it because most of the convention or the ballrooms at the Coronado were blocked because there was a big convention going on. And our sales rep told us that the only room that they had available that could accommodate our group was the Lantana. So we kind of lucked out with just going with what was available.
Okay, got it. Did you use any outside vendors for your event?
Yes, we did. We used outside vendors for our DJ and photographer, and also our day of coordinator and steamer. The photographer was Michelle Villa Photography. She was phenomenal. Hands down, 5-star VIP treatment the entire day. We also had our DJ from South Florida, who was DJ Mike Cooley. And then we also used steaming services with Martell Steaming Service, and she was amazing. And she also jumped in to help up when she could for the day of coordination as well.
That's great. How did you guys choose your officiant?
Our officiant actually is from our home church back in North Carolina. So it was our pastor, and he traveled from North Carolina to do the ceremony for us.
What kind of entertainment did you add to the ceremony and the reception? You mentioned a DJ.
We had a DJ. We also had character, and Mickey and Minnie joined us for the festivities. And we did also plan on having the African drummers from Animal Kingdom, but things didn't work out to have them there for the event, unfortunately.
Did you choose special outfits for Mickey and Minnie?
Yes, we did. I was able to pick the gold sparkly outfits, which was probably my most favorite part of the night, was seeing Minnie come in with the dress that I picked out for
her. That's awesome. What musician did you choose for your ceremony?
We went with the violinist.
Got it. Okay. Do you have any menu items or cake flavors that you would recommend from your reception?
Hands down, the lobster mac and cheese was a hit for us and our guests. We're still getting text messages about how great the mac and cheese was. And we also love the pork belly bites that were available for the cocktail hour. And we also love the Mickey bars at the ceremony that we added right after the ceremony ended. Everyone had a chance to grab a Mickey bar.
That's such a great idea, especially since the ceremony was the last thing. And so instead of it just kind of like being, okay, the ceremony's over, everybody go home, you get to send them off with a sweet treat.
Yes, they loved it. Big adults turning into big kids. It was a sight to see.
Can you tell my listeners about the welcome party you added?
So we decided to have a welcome party for a few of our guests in the presidential suite at the Coronado Springs Resort. And we hired a private chef to come in. It was amazing. And it worked out better for us. We wanted something more intimate versus going to a restaurant, or we didn't want to be at the park. And we also didn't want to spoil the surprise of the Vow Renewal. So we tried to keep things as intimate as possible. So we decided on the private chef, and the cost was roughly about $1,000. And that included foods, drinks, decor. And we had 4 different dishes for our guests, along with, an appetizer and dessert. And for about 25 people, it worked out better for us. And the chef stayed with us for about 3 hours. So it worked out better for our budget.
Wow, that is such a great idea because it's way cheaper than doing a private catered event and even cheaper than some of the restaurants.
Yes, it was.
Can you give my listeners a timeline of how the Vow Renewal Day ran with the surprise and everything?
So the day began with, of course, hair and makeup and all the things that I participated in with my bridal party. We had about 7 girls with us. So hair and makeup took some time, but then we transitioned into photos with our photographer, Michelle. There was a team of 3 there. So we were able to take pictures with our robes on and all those good things. And then we transitioned over to the reception/dinner celebration. And that began again at 5:25. But one of the things that was very important to us, Robert and I love the movie Coming to America. So we had a theme surrounded around that movie. So we had a rose bearer who was dropping roses in front of Robert. Robert had the authentic African wear with his cane. We came in with the theme music from the King from the movie Coming to America. And then I transitioned into the reception or dinner celebration with the song She's Your Queen to Be. For those who know the Coming to America movie, they'll understand. And then from there, we danced, we partied. Our host had amazing games going on throughout the night. We gave away some gifts. And then from there, the Robert and I, we snuck out while the guests were having dinner and dancing and having a good time. We then went and had a dress change and where we transitioned into our second outfits for the evening and then came back in with Minnie and Mickey to surprise the guests. And when I tell you that moment was amazing, walking into the event with Minnie and Mickey next to us dancing and having a good time and the guests joining us, you should see all the faces of the adults in the room like, what's going on? What's happening here? They turned into big kids taking photos with Minnie and Mickey and dancing, and the characters were amazing. When I tell you they were so active and so engaging. And then from there, Robert and I transitioned again, snuck out of the room for our third outfit to our ceremony outfits. And while our host and the attendant with the characters announced that Robert and I had another surprise for the guests and that they will be traveling to Animal Kingdom.
That's awesome. Okay, so then how did it work after, I guess everybody got on a bus?
Yeah, so once the attendant and the host announced the next phase of the evening, our guests were then transported via motor coach to the Animal Kingdom park. And while traveling, the hostess from Disney, they gave them some backstage insights and, information about the park while they waited for us to take our photos. And then Robert and I went in and hid in a corner while our guests were walked into the Animal Kingdom Lion King Theater for the ceremony. Unfortunately, due to weather, our Tree of Life ceremony didn't happen, but we did have a backup of being in the Lion King Theater, which is actually what I wanted, but it worked out great.
That's interesting. So originally you wanted to do everything in the Lion King Theater.
Yes, I originally did, but the cost associated to having it in there just was over the budget that we wanted to spend. So we went with a more economical approach of doing it at the Tree of Life. But like I said, thanks to the Florida rain, we actually got to use the Lion King Theater as I wanted, but we didn't have to pay any additional costs for it because it was the backup location.
That's interesting. I think this is the first time I've ever interviewed anyone who is excited to go to their rain backup.
Yes, I was. At first, I was a little like, oh no, am I going to get to take pictures? Because that was one of the things I really wanted to do. But Disney was amazing. After the ceremony, they allowed my husband and I to go and have pictures at the Tree of Life, and it worked out well. And to be honest, with the weather in May, it was so humid. I was so happy that we didn't have to sit through that for the entire ceremony. 15 minutes was the most that I could do.
And did you have floral and decor that they were able to transfer to kind of make it feel ceremony-ish in the theater?
Yes, I actually did order, the decor through Disney. So we had decor already planned for the Tree of Life, and all they did was move the design that I wanted at the Tree of Life into the Lion King Theater.
Got it. Okay. All right. So for each of you, what ended up being your favorite memory of your vow renewal day?
For me, almost everything was amazing, but the highlight of the night will be, I would say, the second entrance, grand entrance with Mickey and Minnie. So what will actually stay with me for a long time, I'm still laughing thinking about it. While we were doing the grand entrance, going inside as everybody got excited and everything, they were dancing in the way they kisses. When they're kissing with their big nose and everything, I'm still laughing. I'm like, that was the most hilarious thing. So you want to add to this, babe?
Yeah, so Robert's mentioning we had some opportunities to take pictures with Minnie and Mickey, and every time we would kiss, Minnie and Mickey would kiss with their noses, and Robert just loved that moment. Every time he would see Minnie and Mickey have a little kiss with their nose, he thought that was the cutest thing ever. So.
And also the second thing is, like Gigi mentioned, is just that I really didn't think the ceremony would have been as beautiful as it was inside the Lion King. And I remember when Gigi was entering while I was waiting, for a moment I thought I was looking at some type of 8K movies or something with the lighting. And also from where she was walking, It was a long, very long. You could see the highlight of the dress, everything. She was beautiful. I'm like, oh my God. So at that point, I realized I'm like, okay, Disney deserved almost every penny that I've paid for this vow renewal. I was like, that was amazing.
To be honest, the favorite memory that I have is actually walking into the Lion King theater. I loved my dress. The designer did a phenomenal job. And just seeing the lighting in that room, and Lion King is one of my favorite activities. The show is my favorite activity at Animal Kingdom Park. So knowing that I was in there and I was actually immersed in the room where that show happened was just amazing. And the production team and the lighting team at Disney did a phenomenal job. They curated the colors of my theme into the room so you could see it, the lighting just hitting my dress as I'm walking down and I'm seeing Robert waiting for me at the end with my family and friends. It just gave me a moment of just joy. Like this was all worth it. Like all the headaches, all the planning, it all landed here. And I would do it again 1,000 times if I had to, just to get that feeling again.
That's wonderful. When you guys were planning, what were some of the most important aspects of the event where you focused your attention or your budget?
I think one of the most important things was photography was very important to us. So one of the reasons why we wanted to have this vow renewal, we got married initially at the beginning of COVID, and our photographer, although they did their best, the photos were not so great. We to this day do not have photos from our original wedding. So one of the reasons why we wanted to have this vow renewal was to capture, photos for memories. So that was very important. Also, the food was important. Our family, they can be very critical about food. So we did want to make sure that we hit it out the park with the food and that everyone enjoyed the dinner again and the reception.
And did they?
They did, to the point we've been getting phone calls saying, when are we doing this again? They're ready for another vow renewal.
That's awesome. Were there any aspects that were less important where you saved your money or just your effort?
I will say one of the areas that we initially thought would be a big part was the decor. And we've learned that there were areas that we can skip on, for instance, like linen and things like that. We went with the standard, whatever came with the rental of the room. We went with that versus getting, the more expensive high-end linens. We just felt like it just wasn't worth the money for us. And we wanted to apply those funds towards something else, like the characters or additional food for our guests for the evening.
Got it. Now, did anything go wrong or just not turn out like you expected?
The only thing that I would say that went wrong was we did, again, because of the weather, we didn't have the ceremony at the Tree of Life as we initially wanted to. But again, I think that actually worked to our advantage, so that was fine. There were some small hiccups with transportation for the guests to arrive to Animal Kingdom. And then our limo driver, unfortunately, got lost on his way to Animal Kingdom. So it did delay our photos with our families members at the Tree of Life. We weren't able to get those photos with them because of the delay. And that caused us, to start the ceremony later than we wanted to.
That's interesting. And you weren't able to get the photos with them like after the ceremony?
No, unfortunately, Disney stated that we could not. We could have photos ourselves, my husband and I, Robert and I, but not with our bridal party or with our family members because of the time constraint.
Okay. Was there anything that seemed like a big deal beforehand or you were worried about, and then it turned out not to be a big deal?
Well, one of the things that I really thought was going to be a big deal was the size of the Lantana room. I was really concerned that the vision that I had for the room would not work. I thought it was just too small of a space, but the Disney Fairytale Weddings team did a phenomenal job. I wanted a U-shaped table for my guests to be able to see everything that's happening on the dance floor. And I was really concerned how they were going to do that for 50 people, but they did a great job. The room actually was bigger than I expected, and it wasn't, it was nothing to worry about. They handled it very well.
That's great. Is there anything you would have done differently knowing what you know now?
Well, I definitely would have purchased your book a lot earlier in the process because had it not been for the book, I don't know that I would have been able to be as successful as I am with the event. The guidebook was like the Bible for me. Once I had it, I can tell you that poor book has highlights and notes all over it because it was so thorough and so detailed. And without it, I would not have been able to be as successful as I was for Robert and I with our event. He's probably tired of me because I would constantly go back to, well, Carrie said in the book that we should do this.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you found it helpful. Do you have any other tips or advice for future Disney couples?
I would definitely say to stick to your budget if you have one and not feel pressured that you have to, exceed what that amount is. Robert and I did a very good job of planning this for some time. So we worked our budget down to the T. And with your guidebook and also with us sticking to our budget, we were able to not only feel happy with our decision of having a Disney fairy tale wedding, but at the same time, it wasn't something that was strenuous or we were going to find ourselves in debt for. So I would definitely say stick to your budget and don't feel locked in with the food. Like you can do a la carte, pick what you want, visit different restaurants on property and see what you like. And if you want to incorporate it in your event, do so. The chefs are flexible and always willing to accommodate.
And also try to follow the guidelines as far as, when they give you the date to do this. For instance, they're expecting this by this date. Let's say 3 months down the road, try to do your homework, because unfortunately I'm a little bit last minute. My baby is a planner. And yeah, if you do anything, one of the important things, the food tasting, go there already prepared with everything they're asking in advance. So once you get there, you're pretty much ready to ask the chef, whoever's there, all kind of questions, and they will be there to answer those and to make it like a seamless experience for
And and lastly, get a professional or someone else like yourself, Carrie, to review the BEO because that I felt, and I have a law background, and I felt like I needed a law degree to read that BEO. But having someone who understands it to walk you through is very important, and it becomes the contract for you for the day. So if it's not on the BEO, it's not going to happen. So that's very important.
Definitely. That's great advice. Well, GiGi and Robert, I think you've offered a lot of great tips and advice for anyone who's interested in getting married or having a vow renewal at Walt Disney World, and I appreciate your taking the time.
Thank you, Carrie, for having us. We appreciate you as well.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the book and all the great advice.
It's my pleasure. That's our show for today. I'm your host, Carrie Hayward, inviting you to join me again next week for another episode of the Disney Wedding Podcast. Past shows and tons of photos for each episode are available on my website, DisneyWeddingPodcast.com, or listen in your favorite podcast app. And for instant answers to all your Walt Disney World wedding questions, check out Carrie Hayward's Fairytale Weddings Guide, available as an interactive ebook with continual free updates at fairytaleweddingsguide.com.